What's up, guys, and welcome back to another video. Yes, we're talking New Zealand rugby, so I thought let's get in the jersey again. Today's topic is concerns that Beauden, Barrett, TJ Perenara and Richie might not head over, as a few others, to the Rugby Championship due to quarantine. Now, obviously, when New Zealand go over to Australia for the Rugby Championship, they have to be in quarantine for obviously 12, 14 days. Then obviously heading back home, they need to be in quarantine for another time. So it's a little bit of a hectic ask for these guys because they're going to technically probably be missing the Christmas period. Apparently, the three, Richie, Beauden, and TJ, have young families, which they clearly do not want to miss a part of the firsts, and also the new these types of events that they want to share with their family and loved ones. So you can understand the concern that's going on, and it begs the question as to how they're going to go about this tournament. There's been back and forth from the government of New Zealand as to the Bledisloe hosting. Should it be in New Zealand? Should it be in Australia? For me personally, there's less COVID cases in New Zealand, so why not put it in New Zealand? Obviously, there's strict rules, but New Zealand's New Zealand's Prime Minister has said that they're still in talks to try and get it hosted in New Zealand so that they can continue with that, but all will be probably revealed in the weeks coming, because obviously they need to figure out how they're going to do it, because obviously the rulings are they in place to prevent this virus from getting bigger and bigger. And New Zealand have done extremely well. Therefore, I feel it should still be hosted in New Zealand, as Australia have more cases. Obviously, you can pinpoint areas in Australia where the virus isn't as vital. But just on that note, I mean, Australia is going to go through the same problem, and you're going to have players there that probably might pull out. I know Australia's done their squad selection, but this whole quarantine thing abides to them too. Traveling over, traveling back, missing out on the periods of the Christmas period and all that jazz. So it's going to really affect all the teams involved going forward. But I do get why these stars are wanting to perhaps do it. However, it says that the players need time. I mean, the latest headline is that the head of New Zealand Players Union said on Monday, which is today, time of the recording, he said he'd be surprised if any player had already decided to withdraw from the All Blacks Rugby Championship squad due to concerns about travelling during the COVID-19 pandemic. It says that All Blacks will spend at least 8 weeks in Australia from November 7th to December 12th, Southern Hemisphere tournament against the Wallabies, obviously, and obviously they'll have to quarantine from that, so it's going to be hectic, and so we're actually not sure what's going to go on. But like I said, all teams pretty much will be affected. I mean, South Africa is going to hear the latest, hopefully this week, on the procedure, and we'll hopefully get a green light for getting our tournament started going forward, etc., etc. So there's a lot of things going on right now, and I think, as the head of New Zealand Players Union said, players need time, and they do need time, and obviously you need to get your bearings right and select your teams, your final squads, etc., etc. But the thing with New Zealand is that they have a depth. DJ Perenara, you got Aaron Smith, you got Christie, you got all those other guys, Brad Weber, as your backup scrum offs. You got Otera Black, and there's many others that can fill in the boots of a Richie and a Beauden. So it's not the end of the world. You've also got the Geordies, and all these guys can play different positions. So there's a hell of a lot of depth within New Zealand rugby that can definitely sort this type of situation out if they decide to take it on. But I agree, the players need time, and I don't think they've made a decision yet. I think there's definitely concerns. There'll definitely be concerns with the family. It is a hectic time we're living through, and yes, it might be easing down, but I mean, you still got to think of your families. And I mean, just look at that. One family caused such a stir over in New Zealand where more people got affected. So now you've got to be careful. You've got to be secure. You're sending a lot of players over. It is trying times. I mean, TJ Perenara's child was born just the other day, so I can fully understand the concerns for this. The question is, what are your plan Bs? And I think New Zealand will have that in place. As far as the Bledisloe goes, I think if that should be hosted in New Zealand, but obviously we will have to wait and see what happens going forward. But the same thing goes, traveling back and forth, quarantine. there's a long line of things that are currently affecting the sport and going forward. So, I mean, there was a quiz also online today. Should international rugby even come back with all these complications of traveling during COVID-19 and quarantine? For me, I see New Zealand versus Australia not as a problem. I understand the situation that's currently happening, but I do see the tournament going ahead according to plan, and I see things moving forwardly, especially for the Bledisloe. They need to really, it's up to Sanzar. Sanzar need to make a decision. SA Rugby and Argentinian Rugby need to at least say, right guys, um, we're not allowed out, or we are allowed out, and therefore they can maybe bring this tournament of the Bledisloe forward and finish it all done so the guys are back in time, etc., etc. And I think that originally actually is the plan, is to have the games in October for the Bledisloe. So if all can go well, bring the tournament closer and we could see things happening. Obviously, it's further out for South Africa and Argentina, who are currently under stricter ruling. So South Africa's cases are going up still by the numbers, but we'll hear more from government during this week. And I know Argentinian rugby players more have gone in for testing, so it's not looking good or positive right now. But fingers crossed that we can get at least a result going forward. A lot is happening right now, and a lot of questions need to be answered, but we have to leave it to the big boys to decide. Obviously, I want Rugby Championship to go on. Obviously, I want Bledisloe to go on. Obviously, I want the stars there, because you want to see the best versus the best. But that's up to the big boys to decide it. We can only give our thoughts and opinions, and make sure you do that in the comment section down below. That's going to do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you real soon for another one. Stay safe and never give up. Cheers.